that make sense?
They're not taught rejection. They're not taught how to deal with it early on. Where our, and for the most part, I think we're all in our 30s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's in a sense, I'm the oldest one here, right? So I'm in my late 30s. But for the same time frame that we went to school, I think we dealt with things differently and how we're doing.
Well,
yeah.
Not only that, and it even says it in the Bible, the races grow smarter but weaker. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Have you noticed that? Like things that they learn, how we learned back then, we didn't learn them at that age. They're learning it younger and younger. But they're definitely not like how us, like our generation wasn't scared to fight versus their generation is scared to fight.
Scared to fight. And not only that, it's just...
It's just a lot of difference.
Like, we went through real life.
Right. Stuff. Rejection. We were told no.
Yeah. And not only that, I'm like, you worried about a plate. We barely had a plate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Nowadays, you can't cook. Back in the day, that's what you eat. If you don't want to eat it, you going to sit down and not eat.
You get what you get. You don't get upset.
That was like, we cooking 5 different meals for these kids. Like, no, y'all please.
No.
Yeah.
Me growing up, it was either you eat what I cook or go eat some cereal. So I ate a lot of cereal. And to the point where I can barely eat it now because I'm like, I just look at it and I just think I just get so upset. I'm like,
back to insecurity. You guys know.
Okay, so I would say now I am still somewhat insecure because like Stephanie said, I too have struggled with weight from the time I was a little girl. Right. And I spent quite a few years working to get to where I wanted to be, to where I was happy with my look. And I went down to 160 pounds. And I still complained, like you had said before. I still complained. I had no stomach, no back fat. I had no nothing, no cellulite. I wore a bikini to the beach and was so proud of myself for all of my hard work. But I did not appreciate it. And now here I am now looking back at that woman, well, young teenage girl at that time, and looking at me now. And I'm like, if I could just not even reverse the time, if I can get the body of that woman back, but with the wisdom of this person now,
there it is.
You know what I mean? I would be very grateful and happy with that. So I would say now, yes, I am insecure, but I'm learning to love me as I am. Because if I love on me, eventually I'm going to find another man who will want to love on me too. You know what I mean? And
you gotta love yourself first.
Right, and that's important. So it's just necessary for us, especially as women, to not put each other down, to uplift each other. You know, like she said, we're our own worst critics. I have literally I've been trying to heal myself and to tell myself, like, you got to break those little negative things about yourself and start putting the positive in. Right. Because
it's like what you said.
Yeah. Like, we have to break those bonds because it's just not good for us. So I'm healing. I'm in my process. I'm on my journey.
Let the healing begin. No, it's true though. Like, I think all of us struggle with that, and sometimes we're our own. I know for me, I apply pressure to myself before anyone else can. I'm applying pressure, but you know what I learned? Diamonds are made out of pressure.
Yep.
Diamonds are a rock until you apply the pressure. When that pressure is done, it's a beautiful diamond. Yep. So, any insecurities?
Yes. I would say that right now I'm mentally insecure, but going back to what Whitney was talking about, obviously I'm darker. When I was growing up, I think I was insecure about my skin complexion, but my mind was warped. So it wasn't necessarily like I was insecure, hating myself, telling myself that I didn't look good. It was, I was trying everything to be the opposite. Like, I remember I had eczema when I was younger, and there's a cream that you get with eczema. My mom gave it to me, and I would rub it on my face. And I realized that it was making my face lighter over time. And I have pictures of my arms being this dark and my face looking like yours.
Wow.
And I grew myself. I'm the oldest as well. So, like, my mother wasn't around to really see that. I ended up stopping taking the eczema cream. But there was a time where I looked back and I was just like, and even now, I struggle because I realized that I was insecure about my complexion. It didn't manifest in, like, I hate myself, but it manifested in me trying to subconsciously change myself.
Right.
Whether that's my hair, because being kinky hair,
As back then,
great
was not
as
a
it is
thing.
now.
you were
Yeah.
chastised
It's
for
true.
having kinky hair if you ever wore it to school.
Mm-hmm.
Bushy eyebrows, as much as people
Oh,
want,
yes, I can
want
attest to
fake
that.
eyebrows right
Yes.
now. I remember back then it was the cool thing to have thin eyebrows.
Thin eyebrows.
And
Yep.
I remember I shaved my eyebrows off.
Wow.
When I was in middle school, 3rd grade, I shaved my eyebrows off because I
Wow.
wanted. There's a lot of things that happened that I did myself because I was able to, because my mom wasn't around. She was working 24/7, 7 days a week, so I moved myself and my younger sister. So I did what I wanted to.
Right.
And I wasn't thinking, oh, I hate myself. I was
Right.
thinking, I'm going to change myself subconsciously. And I think it was when I hit 25, all of these things start coming back.
Yeah.
And I used to say that my memory is like a movie with black
Patches. Yeah, we say that all the time. We block out a lot.
And now, like getting older, those patches are being filled in, and it's making me mentally insecure because it's sad.
Do you think
It's
that those
sad.
patches
It's
are
visiting.
coming back in so you can not ignore them, but work on them? And
I guess.
because I was the same thing.
Things
Yeah.
that you won't
Yeah.
even realize.
Right.
Exactly.
Will bring up
Exactly.
something.
Like,
Wait
that's
a
how
minute,
I've
this
been
was
living.
Exactly.
Right.
Things trigger me, and things have triggered me, and I reacted obviously because I was young. Now that I'm older, like I don't know if Whitney knew me back then, but I was wild.
Child, I think we all were.
Well, I'm realizing like that happened because it's crazy. Like
You know, it's
I
crazy
do
you
have
say that
insecurities.
though, right? You know, we go through that too. Even I'll speak for myself. Even as light as I am, I used to wear, you guys know, the green contacts. I used to dye my
Yeah.
hair blonde.
yeah,
And honestly, it took until
hate
with
my
my
hair
husband
so
now, he was like, "What's wrong with your natural self?" And when he said that, it really, I'm like, "What are you talking about? I love myself." Like, as a natural defense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
But do you really, if you feel the need to change,
change.
all these things about
Exactly.
yourself? It's like, yeah, I think I love myself. There's nothing wrong with me, but in my head, I don't want to look like this.
Yeah.
I want to look like what I see on the television,
Right.
which is blonde hair, blue eyes.
Indoctrination.
And now it's all the BBLs and
Yeah.
everything else.
Exactly.
That's on another level.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
So can you imagine the
like,
girls
man,
under
like,
us
you-
coming
like,
up looking at that too though? Like if we went through that in our age group, like what about
Yeah.
the girls that are 14, 15, 16 now?
That
Like,
look
They're
like
talking
they're
Yeah.
Botox.
Oh, yeah.
Lord,
plastic
they look
surgery.
so-
Yeah.
I have
like
personal.
Our girls are wearing
Like,
full makeup. To
Yeah,
to
full
school.
face
Yeah.
and makeup. Yep, and their hair. They get up
That's my daughter.
like 5 o'clock in the morning, and they
Yeah.
got to be to school at 7:15. But they're doing it so they can get ready, and they do it every day.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's
That's
just the
what it
fact.
is. And that's the big thing. Like my husband has a big problem with that. Like he can't stand it. He never lived
Isn't
with
that
girls,
funny though? Like you hit it, and that's a second man reference, right? So it's going back to us being our own worst critics. Most men you talk to
Don't like it.
don't like it. Will prefer you to be
More
natural.
natural.
So who are we changing ourselves for?
But I'm gonna tell you what happens with that though. They say that, right? And then they cheat with somebody else. So
Yeah.
That's what that
subconsciously,
looks like.
you're
That plastic
sitting there
Barbie.
saying, "Wait a minute, you don't want me to look like that. You don't want me to."
But you're going out there
But
to
that's
go
what
get
you're going
it.
after.
Well, not my case. Mine's dated down. Remember, he went.
Well, still, in reality, that's
Average,
what
on average,
on
yeah.
average,
Even on
it's
Instagram, like,
ugly or not.
You can
it's
look at
Exactly.
the disparity of
It's like
Exactly.
society is telling
It's
us
pushing
what
one
we
thing.
should look
Yes,
like and what
that's
we
what
should
you
be.
look right. Exactly.
And
Make a
that's
man
the
to know
problem.
this is real beauty right here, all natural. I'm gonna zoom in later because this is
It's true. Society is very, very. It has the game all the way messed up. Like it's telling you
I
that.
feel like it's worse now.
Yeah, I feel
It's
like it is
scary now,
it's
right?
a lot worse now. The way
These dudes
people,
is sitting here getting some fake stuff. Like,
right?
it's crazy.
Like
Yeah.
dudes getting plastic surgery and implants and all. And I was like,
That's
But what happens when you get old? Are you gonna have like pecs, but everything else gonna be saggy? Like,
girl,
listen, everyone needs healing, and
Now,
that
see,
it
this is the
starts
thing.
from that though. It starts something happened traumatic
right?
for you to feel
The
whether
need to
you
do that.
whether you realize it's a traumatic impact or not. Is still that pathway. Everything's a pathology, right? So something made you feel ugly, something that you saw on TV. A lot of people don't. They look at me crazy when I say I homeschool my kids. There's a reason for it. I even watch and monitor what they watch. Like, you don't realize those little things.
There's a lot of things when you look back and they put on now that they show you like how much things were sexually exploited or things you don't even realize.
But that's the same. It goes back to a trace, and you don't even realize. Like, even like
drop those little.
Yeah, in the movies, like a lot of the Walt Disney movies, they have it.
Oh yeah. They have. It's called Subliminals.
Subliminals, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't realize certain things that you can say of cute or ugly or whatever. That sets an impression.
It does.
Like how my dad used to say it, like, "Damn, you got fat," and he would say it in a joking manner, but you don't realize what you're doing, and then you have to unbag. It's a lot of baggage, right? So I had to unbag that and realize, like, he didn't really mean it. Let me try to unbag his baggage, and then come to find out, like, his dad was just as aggressive to him, and then my great grandfather, and a lot of us can't even go back 2-3 generations. Like, that's in the whole biblical thing of why we can't. But nonetheless, like, that behavior is taught. That's a taught behavior that you're passing down.
This one, do you believe in God?
That's a good one.
It's not that I don't believe in God, but I had my struggles growing up. I didn't grow up in the most Christian home, so going to church didn't start till I was in my teens. So I didn't grow up learning about God or knowing about God. So now I'm in my teens, and now all of a sudden, who is this man?
Yeah.
Right.
Who is this man? I still have my struggles. I try my best to now, and this is something me and Chris, we talk about a lot, like as far as trying to put God in everything that I do, regardless if it's my relationship, if it's work, family. Right now it's just, I'm learning, but I do believe in God, but I'm trying to, how can I explain that?
Get to know him.
To
Trying to get a
him,
relationship with him.
Right now I am trying to build that relationship. Reason why a lot of people can say, I think I've changed to a different person.
You have. Absolutely.
Because I try to put God first. Everything I do now, I try to pray. God, make me a better person. You know, let me know you. You know, but yes,
I didn't know that. You only
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
teenage? How old were you?
Teenage work. That's what, 13, 14? Yeah. Is when I started going to church. My mom never took us to church.
Wow.
Till my grandmother came to America, then I was forced to go to church. Now, when I was forced to go to church, I'll never forget my mother made me accept Christ as my Savior without me accepting Christ.
Wow.
And without even having a full understanding of it, right?
Wow.
So can you imagine, when I was young, I was very a bitter kid. Like, if I didn't want to do something, you're going to know. My face is going to tell you.
Like you rebel against it. You like that now.
But yeah, me and my sister, I'll never forget it. Me and my sister, in church, my mother said, "Get up, go where?" And we was up there mad. Accepting Christ,
little Whitney, like
accepting Christ as our Savior. Can you
that's
imagine?
crazy.
But yes, this is definitely something I'm definitely working on. Yeah,
That's totally valid.
It is.
Everything
I didn't know
you
that,
feel
yeah.
is so valid.
Sure.
And the fact that you've gotten here right now is actually really
even
good.
this.
I'm proud of you.
Trust me, this is a process. You know, everything I've done has been just praying, because I honestly, depression for the past few years, if I didn't have God to something positive, honestly, I probably would have been.
It's
already
crazy
now.
you say that, because I saw your growth, even like doing this. Like, I'm so proud of you. I'm trying not to get emotional. But it's the opposite and similar. Like, we grew up in church, and I was forced church, but I love God. When I was young, I had so much zeal for God.
Yes, you definitely.
And when stuff started happening wrong in the house, like my dad became an alcoholic and I wasn't seeing him as much. And I'm like, every time when I saw him, he was angry. And I'm like, damn, like, what God would set somebody up like this to be my dad? And now I would just give anything to have that back. And I fell out. I really fell out with God because I'm telling you, I had such a like yearning. Like, if I could be on God's right hand, I would have been there. And, you know, when you're processing that and you reject God, you think that everything is peaches and cream. And I ended up meeting, like I said, somebody that was, I call him the devil now, call a spade, that pulled me completely away from God. And it took me like literally going through so much trials and tribulations through the dirt to come out at the end and be like, damn, God, you still here? You didn't leave
know
me?
he was still here?
I just knew. I just felt him. When I cried and I was humbled and I was like on my knees crying and I want to sleep. And it's just crazy. It gives me chills to today. And not that many people know it, but in my dream, it was a white room and I sat in the desk, like a student in the desk. And God was just there. He didn't say nothing. He was just there. And I'm like, yo, I'll tell you the stuff that I did and that I don't deserve. Abortion?
I should have brought tissues.
I got you. I got it.
And just to know that he was still there at the end and still here now.
Because it's when you're at your worst.
Let me tell you something.
That
Exactly.
he carries you.
He carried me. And you know what one thing is? People say that I don't believe in God.
Oof.
You don't see air. You can't see what you're breathing in right now. Did you wake yourself up today? No. It's something higher, the creator that woke you up today, that gave you life. Life is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised.
I think that's what people get mixed emotions about, right? Like for us, we grew up in church. She was older than me. I was forced. I mean, I didn't really understand everything was going on, but I had that foundation, right? She was in it, like in it. I was just there, like playing around, got smacked, and then quiet, little, like, that was bad one. But that was still my foundation. As all the stuff that I've been through, because I've been through a lot, there's something in my conscious, in the back of my mind, like, you know better.
Yeah.
Like, and it's unfortunate for people that never grew up with that at all, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we were just having this conversation. Yeah. Even with depression and things like that. It's very real. I know that's real. But there's something that always gets me back, like, nope, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Right.
You know that's the enemy. Even if I don't go to church every day, because it's not about going to church every day, let's be clear. But there's always, I don't understand it, and then I get sad. I'm like, damn.
I think that's where I'm at too.
Like, thank God I had that, because that's my backbone, regardless, right?
Your foundation,
For somebody else that never experienced that, they have no clue.
Yeah.
And then that's hard. And I'm like trying. We were just talking about that, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, for my kids I fight, for this I fight, I put myself last. And I always think like, yeah, that's because God got me. No matter what. And people get it confused. All this bad is happening to me. Where are you? I'm right next to you. Just call on me.
Yeah.
Seriously. And another thing too, people think that you have to do bad all week, go to church on Sunday, forgive me. No, that's not how it works.
No. Right.
That's not how it works.
People get it twisted. The temple that you go to is right in here. Let that sit. The temple, God is right here. He's in you.
Right.
So you don't have to go to a brick and mortar. Like right now, God said, where two or more gathered, I am here. So he's here right now. He's here, and that hopefully that something comes out of this. That no matter what, even if you don't get to me, like where I'm at now with my faith, trust me, it was a long road. Because when I tell you, when I was ratchet and I was out there,
girl, I know. I was right there with you. What you talking about? Where you were, you never saw me. I know I'm sad. I was right.
But no, you know what? But that tells you right there that the God I serve can do anything. Even down to like, you know, this situation that happened with our dad. Like the Indian doctor is gonna say, he's dead. Like, don't even worry about it. He's 95% dead. Like, no, You can't say that. My dad beat the hardest thing and stayed around for 30 days, just enough time to do that spiritual healing that he needed to before going home with Christ. So it's a lot. What about you? I know you believe in God.
I grew up going to church with you guys, but from the time I was a baby, it was instilled in me.
Right.
Like my great grandmother and I was very blessed to have a great grandmother, four generations of women to help raise me. But it was instilled in me from a childhood. I didn't really understand it. And then about 4 or 5 years old, for whatever reason, I started to understand it a little bit. And then at 6 years old, I said to my grandmother, I'm like, I'm ready to go up there. And she goes, what? And I said,
your innocence.
at 6 years old, I knew what I wanted to do. Now, I had faltered. I'm not going to say I haven't. Like, I used to have an amazing connection with the Most High. And somehow, I lost it. To the point where, I'll put it to you like this. This is how amazing the connection was. I heard, and I want to say it's him. It felt like it was him because I heard him speak to me. I was getting ready to do something real stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting ready to go out the door, and something stopped me. Like, I literally felt the hand on my arm stop me.
I know, that's very real.
And he whispered in my ear, don't get excited.
Mm.
Do not get excited. But when I tell you that was the most amazing feeling
Feeling?
ever,
Yeah.
I stood right in that spot and I cried.
Wow.
Like, ugly cried. Like, I was just like, I cannot believe what I just... No, for real. Like, my mom came out the room and she's just like, what? Like, I was bawling because
How
I
old
could
were you?
feel... This was me, and I was about 28.
Wow.
I was about 28, and I felt his presence. And it was the most, when I tell you, the most amazing feeling to know that's who that was, it's just indescribable. So his love is very much real. Mm-hmm. Me, as of right now, I know my connection isn't what it should be. Somehow or another, I don't know how to explain this. I've lost that connection. It's not completely... you can't blame God because it's not him, it's us. It's
right.
us as people. It got to a point where my prayers were just kind of like an everyday thing, like a regimen. Like, I still to this day can't figure out how to pray, like how I used to, and it just be from the heart versus just something I'm constantly...
Yeah, it becomes routine.
Yes, and I don't want it to be
Yeah.
like that. So my connection isn't what it should be because I feel like every time I do, it's like a routine.
But
to
you know
that-
what?
And
Like, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, like, even you saying that you were 6 years old and you were able to accept that, like, trying to piggyback off that, even though I was raised in church and that was my foundation, it wasn't 4 years ago that I went through the roughest,
Yeah.
I tried to think,
Wow.
I went through the hardest time of my entire life, and I went and I, like, got on my knees,
Oh, yeah.
and that was so real for me. Even though I grew up,
Right.
that was the first time
That
in
you
life
just-
that I was like crying, like, what? That was, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry.
I have had that, like, even up until last year, I had a moment like that because just coming to terms with things, us is, things that we do to ourselves, things that we internalize, things that we allow people to do and to say to us, just those type of things, coming to those realizations of things and then trying to change that so that you can mentally, physically, and spiritually grow as a woman. It's a lot, and it is very humbling.
It's a marathon.
And
So
a
lot of
like
people...
every one of us here, I've struggled with depression.
What else was getting ready to say? It's a marathon. It's not a race. It's not how fast you can get your connection to God. A marathon is for the long haul. And if you notice people that are marathons, they're walking, they're running, but then they
stumble. Or they stray.
but then they get
From
right
the
back
path.
on the path. That's exactly what it is. You got to just stay on the path. And for me, like I said, I'm where I'm at now, but it took, it took a lot. And I know, for me, I always say this, like, God has me where he has me for a reason.
Right.
Let me say that again. God has me where he has me for a reason. So when you were going through your situation, the fact that I was a little bit not ahead, but I was ahead enough to pray for my family
Right.
and break the chains. It's hard because it goes back to the oldest thing. Like, being the oldest sibling, you want to make sure that all your siblings are right
Good.
and taken care of. And when you see one of your own struggle and you know it's spiritual, and I'm like, dang, I pray to you, God, and I pray you protect my family. And I know everyone has to go through what they have to go through
Right.
to bring them closer. Maybe that's what you needed. You needed to go through that to then have that aha moment and have that connection with God. And everyone has it.
It brought my family closer. Yeah. My husband he still is the only one in his entire family that is not Catholic. He converted. So for him, like that was one of the arguments too. And I've been with since I was 13. I'm 30. How old am I? 33.
Hold on.
33, 34. What's the age, right?
You're gonna be
33.
I'm 33. I've been with since I was 13. And he's the only one, and literally the entire family that converted out of being, Catholic. So that's two different things, completely. And that changed our family. It actually brought us closer.
Right.
And we experienced things that it's just a lot.
It was a lot.
But for you, I know we want to ask you that same question, right?
Yes, I do believe in God. I told my sister this yesterday. I think I'm at a position where the heart is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Mm-hmm. That's real.
And everybody in my family is very spiritual, like Christian, very, very, very spiritual. My mom wants me to come to church every day if she could have her way, but every Sunday, I was forced, and one thing that I'm working on is harboring resentment and feelings, and I think I harbor, it's not resentment, but I just harbor disdain for the church, and I realize the church is not God.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the funnel I went through, and it just felt like I was beat down in there. So it's like I'm very opinionated and ask a lot of questions. And anytime I asked questions when I was younger, I was told, "Don't ask questions, just listen and obey." I'm not that type of person. I've never been, and I never will be. And so I just pulled away, and I kept pulling away.
Right.
And what you were saying is like, I haven't been the best. There's always something in the back of my mind that says you know better, because I do know better. And I think I rely on my family, because my mom and my sister are prayer warriors. Like, I credit everything good in my life to them, because I think their connection to God and my proximity to them is what's helped my life go where it is. But me, I'm at a place where I feel guilty because I know that he's there, but I'm just not ready.
And it's
and
okay.
that makes me feel so bad, because I'm like, why aren't you ready?
It's
Like,
okay to
why?
be
Like,
there. You have to. It goes back to what I was saying about the marathon, because I was there. I was definitely there. It's just, you can ask God. He says, "Come as you are."
There's a lot, and I think like with my family, it's just a lot of pressure.
Right.
It's a lot, because my family, it's being in a Christian. It's a very Caribbean church. The Holy Ghost is a thing. Showing, speaking, opening your mouth. I don't do that.
Right.
I feel so exposed.
Right.
And vulnerable, and I can't. I'm not that person.
But maybe that's not your journey to be in their doctrine. That's their beliefs. That's their man-made religion.
Do that, and
you could still have a relationship with God, just you on your own.
Right. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to find what that journey is. I'm trying to learn how to pray. I'm trying to pray. I feel like I'm like the red-headed stepchild for him, and he sees me, and I see him, and we're like, see you. But I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
Right.